Welcome. We're David and Hillary, and this is our movie preview of the movie Light of the World. Light of the World was released on September 5th, 2025. It's rated PG for violent content and thematic material. It's got a runtime of about 1 hour, 31 minutes.
Light of the World is an animated presentation of the story of Jesus and his ministry here on earth.
That's right. It covers the 3 years of that ministry from the beginning through the crucifixion and the resurrection.
Well, it hits the high spots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not all inclusive, not in an hour and a half, but it does do a good job of telling the basics and doing so in a unique way from an interesting perspective.
Yeah, it's told from the perspective of John, the apostle, who many scholars think was pretty young when he started following Jesus.
Yeah, I was surprised the first time I heard that, but I knew that before we went to see this movie, and I would say it's a little hard to tell from animation, but I would say they've cast John the Apostle as being about 10 years old.
I would agree with that. In addition to likely being very accurate, it helps to tell the story to the movie's intended audience also.
Right. Well, I would say the intended audience, well, first let me say, it is told in a very basic and understandable way. Mm-hmm. I think the intended audience is probably children.
Right.
But as I was watching it, I thought this would be really good also for adults who are not familiar with the story. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe that was part of their intent.
Well, it's easy to understand without talking down to anyone.
Right.
So, I mean, what did you think of it?
I liked it. I liked it more than I thought I would. I've seen a lot of religious material, a lot of religious content, and I often come away from it thinking, oh, I could have a list of ways that it could have been better.
Right.
But I thought this one was pretty good.
All right. So what did you like about this one?
Specifically, I thought the animation was good. It's a little bit different style than some that I've seen, but I thought it was fun to watch. Mm-hmm. I thought the perspective of telling the story from a child's view, John the Apostle, was interesting. You know, when you know the story of Jesus, it sometimes you don't want to hear it the exact same way every time, but you want it to be true and authentic.
Right.
And so I liked that it was a little different perspective, but it was true and authentic. And I thought it was accurately done. There were a couple little things where I think maybe they changed up this or that just to make it easier to tell the story. Mm-hmm. If you're not going to tell everything, maybe you combine a little from this and that, put it together. And a literal person like me is like, well, wait, that's not part of that story, but
right.
They're doing it very quickly. And so I didn't feel any kind of, to me, it wasn't heresy. And the other thing is, anyone who sees that and finds it interesting can then do a deep dive into the story and get all those particulars.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I agree with that. My first response always is like, oh, no, that didn't happen exactly like right after that. But they were trying to consolidate for time, and they're mm-hmm. trying to tell a fluid story. And so I'm going to give them that. And also, it's a great time to do a Bible study. Yeah. And just to say, oh, well, actually, in the story, in the Bible, it happened just like this. So, but they weren't taking away from the meaning and the message. So I'm going to give them a little pass on that. I did like the character portrayal of Jesus. He mm-hmm. seemed very relatable, and I think that's important. And I
think so too.
I think that just the way that it comes across for the children, I think that's spot on. I also liked that they didn't shy away from the crucifixion without making it too gruesome for children to watch. I think it's important to tell the whole story.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and at the end, it presents the plan of salvation, and I really like that. Mm-hmm. I thought, they really did a good job of leading you right to that. And if they hadn't done it, that would have been a complaint of mine, but they did. And, mm-hmm. Well, we'll talk more about that in a second, but I really like that.
Me too. And I thought that it gives anyone of any age the chance to accept the forgiveness of Christ, mm-hmm. and also to get some valuable teaching as a new believer. There was the QR code at the end of the movie.
Yes.
So I thought that was pretty clever.
Yeah, the QR code has become a much more common thing now. with a lot of Christian movies, especially. And sometimes I like the way they do that better than others, but I thought this one was really good. We went to it, and there's some really good discipleship material there.
Right.
So I think it's good. We'll put a link to that in the description of this movie review, so you can go and check it out for yourself, even without seeing the movie.
What about objectionable material?
Well, you mentioned the crucifixion earlier,
Right.
And so there is a depiction of Jesus and two thieves on the cross, and there's one or two brief images of Jesus getting whipped. But again, it's a cartoon. It's done kind of stylized, and I think if you are concerned about that and you're whether or not to take young children, you could see it first and get an opinion on that. But I thought that it was well done, tasteful, without being crazy violent, and it matched the PG rating.
Right. Right. Well, and again, we say this all the time, but parents of younger children, they might want to just watch it first. But overall, we would agree that the PG rating was appropriate.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think this is a good movie for Christian parents to see with their children, whether they've made a decision for Christ or not. It could be one step toward that process, or, it could be the thing that leads them to want to make that commitment. And anything like the crucifixion scene or anything that they don't understand, you can discuss it afterwards. That's what we did with our kids.
Mm-hmm. Well, and yes, and another good opportunity would be to take a friend who is not a believer, who you would like to share the message of Jesus with.
Right. Right. And when I say we did that with our kids, I'm talking about with other things. Our kids are all grown, but sometimes you take them to something where they're not going to understand everything, just so you can talk about it.
Right.
And I think I think this would be a good movie to do that. We should probably wrap it up. We really liked it, so we're talking longer about it. But rather than giving this a grade, I would just say that I highly recommend it. Mm-hmm. I think especially for families or to introduce anyone to the story of Jesus who might not be familiar.
Absolutely. Thumbs up from me. I loved it.
Yeah. Well, for now, thank you for joining us. We are David and Hillary.
The movie was Light of the World, and that's our preview.